The holidays are coming, and what better Christmas gift than the gift of me and Cal talking
The
about
gift
Beast
of
Wars.
two men in their 30s talking about a cartoon from the 90s. Dad, Mom, I know that you've been together for over 30 years now, and I just wanted to say, you should check out this guy's podcast. My gift to you. Remember, I used to love this show as a kid. Do you remember?
No. That's the gift that keeps on giving, Clark.
Too much energy.
Good evening and welcome back to Too Much Energon, the weekly podcast where we review every episode of Beast Wars ever in production order, starting from the beginning. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
I am your other host, NeoCal.
And this week on Too Much Energon, we are reviewing the 19th episode in production order, which was the 21st episode in U.S. broadcast order, Possession. It originally aired on February 3rd, 1997. Cal, why don't you get us started with the episode?
Oh boy. It's interesting right away. There's a spark flying through space. We know what a spark is because we got a up-close shot of Air Razors when she was in her stasis pod.
Yes, my immediate thought when I was watching this episode earlier was wow, there's a spark. It's a good thing we just had an entire episode dedicated to telling us what those were a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and we have been led to believe that they do not fare well without a body.
Mm-hmm.
As in they extinguish.
Yeah.
Easily outside of a transformer.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going towards a planet, and the planet is the Beast Wars planet. But if you look at the geography of the planet, it is heading to California, North America. Like it is. So this it's been nebulous before, but like this is very clearly the west coast of North America.
You know, the land of cheetahs, gorillas, and Siberian tigers.
Canyons, jungle, Siberian tigers. Yeah.
Volcano pits with Predacon ships.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at the maximal base, and there is a lightning storm going on outside.
It's all dark and lightning-y.
Yep. And
the Maximals are frantically like, yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Cheetor is like, wow, talk about a light show. And Rhinox is on is on his usual computer console, and the computer is basically like, yeah, the storm's fucking everything up. And Rhinox is basically just like, yeah, one more hit and we could be the grand finale.
Speaking of that, there has been an episode before where there's been an energon storm.
Yes.
Why haven't they set up lightning rods since then? Like they're on a canyon kind of like cliff, and they're in a gigantic metallic ship. Shouldn't they have some lightning rods nearby?
To what
to take
end?
The heat? To get hit by the lightning so their ship doesn't? Right? Yes. Like that's what...
Pretend for a moment that I don't know what a lightning rod actually is.
Basically... giant metallic...
Because I totally do, you see.
Okay.
I'm just
for those who don't know, Christopher does.
Just for the listeners, because like I completely know exactly what lightning rods do.
The the summary of for lightning rods is there's a very large kind of a metallic antenna, very conductive metal that you want to set up, and it's usually grounded somewhere, right? So that because what lightning wants to do is it wants to take the path of least resistance into something that can conduct electricity and then like disperse over the ground or water or wherever it hits the earth. And so
Okay.
lightning rods, lightning rods are usually set up through a city on skyscrapers or wherever, so
Clock
that
towers.
like or whichever they're fashionable or tall, so that instead of say lightning striking and hitting a car driving through the city
At 88 miles an hour.
and going back to the future. I was gonna make that a joke.
See, that's why when you were talking about things like just now, you were like, "Oh, things that where you set up lightning rods on." I was like clock towers.
Yeah, and that's what you're one step ahead of me. And then they could technically leap through space and time and go back home. That's where I was going with that.
Yep. 30
But
years into the future.
My whole point was why, like, I feel like they should have set up lightning rods so that their ship wasn't just completely like at the mercy of the storm. But this is not
a good
a
point.
lightning's. See, you're very good at noticing the odd like transformation glitches.
Yeah.
And I'm very good at noticing the plot holes. I feel like I find one every 2 episodes or so. But hey, this is an Energon storm. I could be full of shit, and the rules for Energon storms are completely different.
Oh.
Maybe Energon hates metal. Energon lightning hates metal, and it's attracted to sparks.
Maybe Energon Lightning hates metal, but really likes country.
I was like, oh, please say, but really likes country.
Oh, man.
In which case, it can just fuck off.
So
Rhinox is like, speaking of country, Rhinox is like, it says some Rhinox stuff about, yeehaw, we're sitting duck out here. And Optimus says something that I only assume is a plot device, but maybe you can clear that up. He responds to Rhinox's like worries, like, hey, one more blast and we're a cooked goose. He says, yes, better stow the spare weapons and ammo in the hold.
Underneath the armored flooring.
Armored flooring. So presumably it's a spaceship, so I don't know why the flooring itself would be armored. Wouldn't the whole thing need to be armored equally? But hey, what the fuck do I know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But anyways, it feels very like I have a feeling this will come in handy later.
Yeah. and you very well may be right, good sir.
Is it presuming that if they get like lightning, it could explode their weapons or their ammunition stores? Is that the presumption? Like the energy cells of the weapons?
Yeah, and like
okay.
But that implies like, so as we know, lightning conducts. Like, it's not like lightning is like shooting a laser at the top of the ship and blowing a hole in it.
But in this episode,
so like
that's why I said maybe I'm full of shit. And
so like, yeah, technically it shouldn't really, like, if the ship is getting like hit by lightning, like, it shouldn't really matter where you have the weapons, because like the entire ship will, like, if it's made of metal, like the entire ship is just going to conduct from the lightning.
And if anything, putting it under the floor where it's like armored, that means there's more metal there, which means the lightning will distribute throughout the ship, and probably take the path, like I said, take the path of least resistance and go towards the floor.
Yeah.
maybe I have no idea how electricity works, but that feels like a worse idea. But it feels like an idea that might help them later. So remember, when you're writing Beast Wars, it's important. It's important to write things into the show that come in handy later, more so than it is to write things that make sense. I feel like is this deja vu? I feel like I've said that line before.
You've definitely said something similar to that, yeah.
Quick, hide it under the metal flooring, away from the lightning. Lightning come from sky, not ground. You mean under the floor, surrounded by metal? Good idea, Optimus. That's why you're the leader.
I was if you hadn't said that, I was like literally just about to say, that's why you're in charge, good man.
I'll drink to that.
Throw me a beer.
Jesus. So we're met with spooky times over at
spooky times.
We're met with the super spoopy dark lightning times over at the dark side, the Predacon base.
And that spark that we saw flying through space is now hovering above the ship.
Yeah.
Right atop of, I'm going to guess,
was the lightning rod.
I was just about to say, what I'm going to guess is actually a lightning rod.
Maybe they were smart and they actually put up lightning rods.
Someone in the Predacons being smart.
I'm going to blame Waspinator because wasn't he kind of like the communications? Or no, that's Terrorsaur. What did Waspinator do? Who knows?
Blown up.
Yes, speaking, that's what happens. Listeners, he's on a computer and he's like, oh! And a lightning strike happens and he gets electrocuted.
Yeah, lightning strikes that lightning rod and the spark zooms right into it. And then we're inside the dark side, and Waspinator is at that control panel, and he touches it, and he gets electrocuted and gets blown back.
I love this.
And Megatron is like, quickly, damage report. And Waspinator's like, moderate. Waspinator in pain, but still functional. And Megatron is like, you imbecile, the computer.
There's a few times in this episode where I'm like, oh, do you know what's weird? Is Waspinator like the cutest Predacon? I'm gonna say yes.
I'd say he's probably the most innocent of them.
Yeah. I like I like him.
He's kind of childlike.
Oh, extremely, especially when he's like off on his own, like throwing a tantrum, being like, "Oh, Waspinator's strongest Predacon, stupid Megatron."
On the subject of characters being childlike, there's a line that Cheetor has later on in this episode that I'm like, wow, you are a fucking 10-year-old. Cheetor.
Well, that explains why the 10-year-olds enjoy Cheetor the most.
Yeah, I'll point it out when we get there.
And then sorry. Megatron turns to his console and he's like, you can hear Scorponok go, "Megatron, electrical fire below deck."
Yeah,
and that's important later because then there's a cool smoky part. Other than that, there's no reason for that being in the show. We want to show off our particle effects, damn it.
Yes, look at our marvelous ray tracing capabilities.
What's ray tracing? You'll see.
Actually, you know how, quick sidebar, but you know how like ray tracing is like the big buzzword of this new console generation?
Mm-hmm.
What I found out recently is like ray tracing's actually been around since the 90s. Like Reboot used ray tracing.
Yeah, ray tracing is just difficult to like render in real time.
In real time, yeah.
Yeah.
And until recently, it hasn't really been possible to do in video games.
Oh, it would be exactly, yeah. Need to find it's completely different when you're making a show, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like being able to, like a fast-paced game, let's say like with lots of Battlefield, right? Where ooh, wow, I can see the reflections of the other buildings in this like puddle that I'm running by.
Yeah.
Not really necessary. Cool to have. Has never really been necessary though.
Yeah.
And now video games are kind of getting to that level.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to the level of Beast Wars in 1996.
Getting to the level of a almost 25-year-old TV show.
Hmm.
It's good to have goals.
Yeah, that explains why the uh there's kind of like almost ambient dark and light reflections on all the metallic parts of the Transformers.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we're back at the Axelon, and Rhinox is in the hold underneath the alleged armored flooring, and Optimus is passing him crates of munitions.
Yep.
And inside this hold, there's a bunch of missiles and a bunch of Cheetor's tummy guns and a bunch of Rhinox's gats.
Gats. Yeah.
And so Optimus gets a call from Rat Trap, who's all like, "Hey, this is Rat Trap. Do you want the bad news or the worst news?"
Oh, right.
Which is actually something I've like say periodically in my day-to-day life. There's actually a few lines in this episode in particular that have stuck with me that I have quoted throughout my entire adult life, and I'll point them out when they come.
Oh, okay. Good. Good. Good.
Cheers. Speaking of yes, we're at the Predacon base, and Waspinator is looking at the console, and he's all like, "Oh, Waspinator does not understand. What is wrong with this fucking computer?"
Have you tried restarting it?
And then the computer screen starts glowing, and then a voice starts
Which
talking
we will
to him.
not try to emulate because it is essentially Terrorsaur's voice actor, heavily
Totally.
like, synthesized.
Even when I was 11, I'm like, that is Terrorsaur's voice actor.
Yeah.
Heavily digitized.
Yeah.
And he says some shit, basically calls Waspinator an idiot.
Yep.
And the light
Calls him
shoot.
my partner was like, did he just call Waspinator butt face? I'm like, no, bug face.
Bug face, yeah.
But he whatever the voice is, he soon becomes bug face.
Yeah.
Or at least he jumps into bug face.
Yeah, light.
Because
the light shoots out of the computer console and goes into Waspinator's body, and he glows and is all like, "Rrrr." And then he stops glowing, and then he laughs just like Terrorsaur.
Speaking of Terrorsaur,
Terrorsaur,
the camera zooms out as he's like jiving with some energy, and Terrorsaur like is just watching, and he like laughs to himself and walks away. Okay. Typical Predacon shit. He got electrocuted.
No, he doesn't laugh. It's Waspinator laughing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Same voice actor, so you can understand my confusion.
Yeah, the only reason I know it was Waspinator is because like he kind of like he moves in motion with the laughter.
Right. Yeah, he kind of falls back. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Terrorsaur was there because that's what Terrorsaur does, I guess.
Because apparently Waspinator stole his voice.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if during the episode Terrorsaur had like brought that up?
Yeah. Well, and
He's basically like a shitty version of me.
it's funny too because like Terrorsaur barely has any lines in this episode. In fact, I think he only has one line.
Oh.
And the guy who does the voice of him makes his voice sound way deeper than it usually is.
Oh, so we talking sexy pterosaur time.
Almost, yeah. Not quite. Wasn't quite enough to do it for me this time, you know?
No. The Avalon, they're complaining about, well, Rat Trap comes from outside, presumably where he was repairing stuff. And he says, well, if that's, I think the group just kind of cuts right into it. And they're like, oh yeah, I guess a lightning had hit and breached the outer wall in Vector 7. Who knows where that is? But there's a red little panel on the dinner table, this middle like console, and it has a projection of the ship, and there's like a red square. So somewhere near the front is damaged.
Yeah.
And Rhinox is like, and this was only the bad news?
And Rat Trap's like, the worst news is it knocked out all the surveillance sensors and, whatnot. And he's like, we may as well put up a sign being all like, welcome Predacons, enter here.
Well, with any luck, they're having problems of their own. Oh wait, that's not Rhinox. That's Optimus that says that.
It's something either one of them could have said, really.
And then one of the the father figures of the show, which there are two. Slight sidebar, my partner was like, we were watching an episode, and she was like, AirRaiser kind of has a mom voice.
Yeah, totally.
You hear it too? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, well, that explains why I like it.
Yeah, she's got that, like, I don't know, she sounds like she's in her, like, mid to late 40s, I think.
She's a woman who knows what she wants, okay? And there's a lot of scene. Go ahead.
She's old enough now that she knows she doesn't want her time to be wasted, and she's not going to waste her time going after something or someone that isn't going to give her everything she wants and needs.
Yeah, she's done chasing the Dinobots and the Megatrons, and she's ready to settle down with the Tigatrons or the Rhinoxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Speaking of Big Daddies, we got back to the dark side, and Megatron is like coughing, and there's a bunch of smoke, and they're in like the underbelly of the ship. And I just realized, like, I always knew Megatron was like big, but has he always been like twice as tall as Scorponok? Or is it just the angle here?
I think he's always
huge.
been that tall.
Jesus. Yeah. Huh. And Scorponok's like looking up at him, and he's like waving the smoke away from him, and he's like, go find out what's keeping Waspinator. And I didn't notice this until the second viewing, by the way, Christopher. I didn't notice that when the lightning strikes, there are brief like frames where Waspinator changes into Starscream.
Yeah. I noticed that when I watched the episode back when I was a kid. It excited me so much. As someone who really liked G1 when I was a little kid.
I just paused it right on the perfect like moment. Huh. Wow, what the fuck?
I was originally considering making that I was originally planning to make that the show art, although as I was watching this earlier, I came across another shot that I'll point it out when we get to it, that I'm like, no, that's the show art for this episode.
Is it
It's a
Rhinox grinning, holding up his a gat?
no. It's another great Optimus face.
Ah, of which there are many.
Yep. uh.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so to the listeners, yeah, Waspinator shows up, lightning strikes, and like there's a few flashes, like he kind of flickers, and you like Waspinator's like image is like replaced only for like a few frames with Starscream. Like I think he was a Harrier jet.
He was an F-16.
Oh, he was specifically an F-16.
Yeah.
So he's a fast boy.
Yeah.
And yeah, Scorp, and he's like kind of standing there with his chest out and his arms kind of like at the ready. And Scorponok's like, "So there you are."
That's his big dick G stance.
Yeah, it is. And to emphasize his big D energy, the camera is down at his kind of feet to make him kind of look like he's like tall and looming over the others. It's good camera work,
Mm-hmm.
or rather cinematography. And he's like, "Yes, here I am, at very long last."
And
And I don't know why, but this voice line made me like laugh. He says in such a weird, casual way, Megatron. He's like, "What happened to your voice?" And I don't know why, but just the way
What
the way
happened
he
to your
says it. Are
voice?
you listening to that?
Oh, I know the line.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm gonna rewind it again. I don't know why I find that. What happened to your voice?
What happened to your voice?
He says it so smooth and so casually. I hit puberty, bitches. Congratulations, Waspinator, you're a man. Quickly, it's bar mitzvah time.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov. Cheers.
Get my boy one of those little hats. Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
An Annika, a bot. I can't remember what they're called. They have a name.
Oh, yeah, they do. And
I've had a number of Jewish friends, and I can't remember. So I doubt any of them are listening. But if they are, I apologize. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
yes. Sorry from both of us to any potential Jewish listeners out there. We love you.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, jacked Waspinator is like, I'm not even gonna pretend to try to do a voice because it's so heavily like digitized.
yeah.
It's like,
Well, if listeners out there, like if you've watched any of the original Transformers cartoon, all of the Transformers that in that show, like all of the voice actors had their voices modulated to sound more like slightly mechanical and digital.
exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of it's actually a nice touch, I think, that they did that to Starscream's voice in this show, because in this show they don't bother doing that, which I kind of appreciate, to be honest.
Yeah. It differentiates itself.
Yeah.
Right? Like he sounds like a Decepticon, not a Predacon.
Yeah, I'll make one attempt at doing a Starscream voice.
All right.
Yeah, here goes, everyone. Allow me to present myself. Air Commander Starscream of the Decepticon Battle Fleet!
Oh, that was deceptively accurate. Yeah, if you throw a synthesizer. Oh, and then by the way, there's more thunder. As he busts out his chest, and you see more flashes of him.
Yeah, more Starscream flashes. More Starscreams, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he has some insane screamy moments in this. And we cut to the helm, the main stage, if you will, of the
dark
Predacon
side.
of the dark side. Take
And
a walk on the dark side.
all of the Predacons are there, gathered around on terror boards.
Gathered around Ontario.
Hey, worst case Ontario, we just go back to selling dope.
Thank you. And a lot of them are on terror boards. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a floor there, but the Predacons seem to hate standing on the floor of their own base.
I mean, as you have said before, if you had access to terror boards, that's all you would ever do as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just cool.
It's just bomb around on them.
And there's that weird, like, ceiling-mounted throne that Megatron always chills on.
Yeah.
But everyone else is on a terror board.
Yeah.
And wait.
Terrorsaur says something.
Yeah.
And
You
again,
sound familiar.
and again, same voice actor that is voicing Starscream, but in this episode, when he speaks as Terrorsaur, he makes his voice sound deeper than he ever has before. Presumably to like try and
differentiate
them, yeah.
Okay.
But it's a little jarring because it's like, man, Terrorsaur's voice is never that low. Only when he gets jacked on ENERGON.
True.
Too much ENERGON, if you will.
Yes, for him it was too much. Well, it was an adequate amount until the mountain got destroyed.
In which case, he had not enough ENERGON.
Yeah, he went from too much to not enough.
And then no ENERGON, so he died.
I think he died in that one. He dies a lot. I can't even remember anymore.
He dies every other episode.
Yeah. Every 3 episodes, he tries to take over, and every 2.5, he gets destroyed.
And he always loses.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Megatron keeps taking him back. But
and for some reason, he's still Terrorsaur. He still tries.
For some reason, he's still Terrorsaur.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's weird how you can reprogram a stasis pod, but you can't reprogram, like... Wait, yeah, you can. They reprogrammed Rhinox. Hold up. Couldn't they just reprogram Terrorsaur to not be so treacherous? Or is there limits to this?
Remember, though, reprogramming Rhinox took that machine, the transmuter, that took Megatron an entire Saturday afternoon to build.
This took several cycles to put together. And the best of our manpower. And you look around and I'm like, Woof. So what, Scorponok?
Oh man.
Yeah, so sorry, to get back into the show, Lady Arachnia is there and she's like, the Decepticons were our ancestors. For centuries they warred with the Auto. I guess she's the historian in the group.
Which is ironic considering she's technically the youngest Predacon there.
Yeah. Again, it hasn't really confirmed how much they remember of their maximal life.
Yeah.
Like on either side, both with Black Arachnia as well as Tigatron and Air Razor.
Yeah.
It hasn't really showed us, like told us explicitly that, hey, I have all my memories. So maybe she was a historian when she was a maximal?
Well, we'll never know.
We will never know.
Yeah, so speaking of not knowing things, apparently Scorponok doesn't know anything about history.
Yeah, when he seems confused, Megatron steps in and he says, the Autobots were the ancient ancestors of the Maximals.
Yeah.
And Starscream says that was a war that we lost. And again, I don't know how she knows all of this. I guess they just have a good library. Black Arachnia like chimes in and she says, "War Witch and you are destroyed."
Hold
Oh,
on.
and then yeah.
Okay, so I've got the episode up, and I'm just looking now. The console that Black Arachnia was looking at, for some reason, has a stasis pod on it.
I just saw that.
Like, why? What does that have to
A
do with anything?
reused like computer screen animation they probably just threw on there.
Yeah, I suppose. Because it's like that. It has nothing to do with anything.
I was wondering why that was on the screen too, because she gestures to the screen as if she was like doing research or something. But yeah, there's a stasis pod on the screen.
Yep.
Probably a reused asset. Yeah. It's written in the Chronicles of Cybertron, and she like gestures to the the computer with the stasis pod on it.
Yeah, because she mentions that Starscream was destroyed, and Starscream's all like, so it was believed. And we get a neat little flashback.
Which is technically a lie? Maybe?
Still, it's cool. That
It's cool.
we get a visual representation of
Yeah.
Unicron.
Before he mentions Unicron, he mentions someone called Galvatron.
Yeah.
He fell defending his leader, Galvatron.
Yeah.
But I do know who Unicron is, and it's really cool that they show him.
Yeah,
It?
he actually
they show
looks.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, he actually looks really cool in CG. Like this is actually
Yeah.
a really good CGI model of Unicron.
Yeah, that looks fucking rad. So for anyone listening, think of like geez,
So basically,
it's kind of like go ahead.
Yeah, so basically for anyone listening who has not seen 1986's Transformers the movie, Unicron is basically the Transformers version of Galactus from the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
He is a giant entity that floats through space and eats planets. He himself looks like a big ass planet.
Yeah, like but with like a giant like ring around him.
Yeah. And he has two horns protruding out of
The front?
the front of him.
The
And
mouth?
yeah, his mouth. Yeah, basically. So he's this big ass planet with like a mouth on one side and a couple of horns on either side of it.
He's
And
like a cooler Death Star. In my opinion.
yeah, he's like a Death Star meets Galactus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
And his like quote like because Transformers all have two different forms. His I don't know planet mode because it's not a beast mode and it's not a vehicle, right?
Yeah.
I guess his disguise mode is a moon, but his disguise mode is essentially a giant.
That's no moon.
That's no moon. That's Unicron. Is a giant metallic. I mean, I wonder how big Unicron is compared to, say, Cybertron. Cybertron's planet-sized, though. That's different.
Yeah. Well, we actually in Transformers the movie, we actually see him attempt to eat Cybertron.
Right.
He's actually not big enough in that movie to eat Cybertron. Not whole as he does with many other planets, which causes him to transform for the first time in that film.
Right.
Giant
and then you
robot.
see. Doesn't he have just like a giant crescent for horns? Like kind of like yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, so he's bigger than a moon, but not as big as a planet, because he's able to, or at least not Cybertron anyway. And Cybertron is smaller than Earth, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Because he's able to, in that movie, he's able to eat Cybertron's moons. But he's not big enough, and he eats several other planets throughout the film, but he's not big enough to eat Cybertron. So
he could eat Mercury, possibly Mars, but not Earth.
No, definitely not Earth. I don't know much about the size of the planets in our solar system. I gotta be honest.
Nobody does.
What, you mean you haven't been to Jupiter? Poser.
I hear it's a little bit chunk. Well, I know that like as far as sizes go, like Venus is supposed to be like closer to our twin than Mars is. Like I know Mars is much smaller than Earth, or noticeably smaller, whereas Venus is closer. And I think Mercury is a tiny guy. Yeah, so I think it's like Earth is a little bit bigger than Venus. Venus is a little bit bigger than Mars, and Mars is a little bit much bigger than Mercury. I used to be into space when I was a kid.
The final frontier.
Yeah. Well, used to, I guess. I am a little bit. Shows a planet. Starscream is on it. Unicron comes up.
Now we actually get a shot of a full shot, well, from behind, but like a full shot of Starscream.
And he does what any smart individual would do in a flashback. He decides to try to just shoot with his normal weaponry, Unicron. Yeah. And Unicron glows and fires a death beam at him, presumably destroying him.
Yeah.
But as Starscream narrates what's happening, he says for some reason his spark managed to remain and drift helplessly through the depths of space. Presumably he can't aim, he can't move. He's just flying through space.
Yeah, freely. And so Megatron's like, well, now that you're here, Air Commander, what is it you want? And Starscream's basically well, I simply wish to pledge my allegiance to the glorious to the mighty Megatron or whatever.
Yeah. Mighty Morphin Megatron.
Mighty Morphin Megatron.
Megatron.
And Megatron says a line that I really liked. He's like, well, you'll forgive the glorious Megatron for not melting into a puddle of gratitude. Tell me.
I like how suspicious he is.
Why should I trust you? Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, he actually does jack shit in this episode, but he has good presence.
Lines.
Yeah, he has some good lines.
There's some good lines in this.
It actually kind of amused me, like when I got to the end of the episode earlier. I'm like, wow, Megatron really did fuck all this episode. But he has some good lines.
Yeah, he zaps Dinobot later from behind and has a good quip. But other than that, he doesn't really do much.
Yeah. And Starscream's Starscream's like, well, I can show you how to beat it. I can show you how to beat up those Maximal assholes and win the Beast Wars.
He says that famous line that we can destroy the Maximals and win the Beast Wars once and for all. I don't know. I love it whenever they say that. I feel like that's always a thing.
Oh yeah. It's like it's the name of the show or something.
Once and for all, and the kids watching are like, no.
Not the Maximals.
Not the Maximals. Those are the good guys.
If they win the Beast Wars, then I won't have any more Beast Wars to watch. No.
Exactly. No.
So we're at the Maximal base, and Cheetor is chilling outside in his cheetah form. And he says some Cheetor bullshit.
And there's a bee.
Yeah, there's a cyber bee. And he's all
a little different.
And he's all like, Gigabummer, jumping gyros. Or whatever. Someone's getting a scanner full right now. And so he transforms and shoots the cyber bee. And this time
I'm amazed that he actually hits it. Yeah. When he shows up with it in a minute or so, I'm like, wow, he hit it. He's
Yeah,
he's getting better.
Yeah, he actually hit it this time. Sweet. Good on you. Good on you, kid.
The father figures, Rhinox and Optimus, are meeting in like Sentinel's computer room. Yeah, and like the Avalon like computer room where Sentinel's stored. And Rhinox says, "We can repair it, but it's gonna take some time." Basically, nothing is as fast as you want it, which kids hate to hear.
Yeah.
And Cheetor is over the comm link, and he's like, "Hey, got something for you."
Yeah, he's like, we were starring in someone's home video.
And they're reviewing footage that the Cyber Bee had gotten for them.
Yeah.
And
Megatron's like, but that's what they'll be waiting for.
exactly.
Very.
And I again, he has the best lines in this.
But with Starscream, he's actually being like, "Oh, you may in fact be a fucking rotundo. Yes."
But I don't know how much of one yet. That remains to be seen.
Yeah.
And okay, is it just me, or is there like strategy coming up here? Kind of like the weirdest and weakest like strategy they've ever had on the show. The TLDR, because we're not going to be script guy for this, is Starscream's like, "Ooh, there's damage on this side of the ship. We should attack them." And Megatron's like, "Well, they'll be expecting that." And Starscream like flips his shit and gets excited, and he's like, "That's why we'll attack the other side where there's another hole." And I'm like, this is an advanced strategy. The ship's in disrepair and they're just attacking. Do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't like Rat Trap's plan when he was like purposely pretended to switch sides and then escaped through his little hanging cage. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing to this. It's just like, but they'll be looking for us on this side, so we'll go the other way.
Sounds
and I'm
like a Decepticon plan.
Cool plan, bro. And like any Deus Ex, yeah, go ahead.
And Megatron must be thinking to himself, "Why didn't I think of that?"
Yeah, sure.
But indeed, so we immediately cut to the maximal base, and one of Scorponok's missiles blows a hole in the opposite side. All
We
of the
know it's a Scorponok's missile because it's like guided.
Yeah. One of Scorponok's Nikita missiles.
One.
That's the one for the episode. And the Maximals are in their beast form guarding the hole on the other side of the ship.
All of them are guarding one specific hole. It's literally like an 8-foot hole, by the way. People listening. And all of the Maximals, minus on the outside, like staring at the hole, being like, "We are guarding."
Yeah, they're not even trying to seemingly they're not even trying to like repair it or anything. They're just standing there. And so when the missile hits and the other side and blows another hole, Optimus immediately is just like, "What?
What?
What?"
And he looks inside the hole, and who's flying around in the giant computer room? Like Waspinator, but Starscream, and he's
Screaminator.
The Screaminator, and he's holding on to awkwardly holding on to Black Arachnia by her gun.
Yeah,
but she's holding another gun. I don't know. And she usually shoots kind of like small, kind of like dart like things, much like Waspinator, but she fires a missile this time.
Yeah.
So they've been mixing up their weapons lately.
But she misses.
Yeah, Optimus does like pulls his head back and dodges, and I'm like, why?
Not even very far. He just
listeners, she aims and fires at the hole where the Maximals are poking their heads in comically, right? Like I didn't even think of how humorous this is. They're poking their heads over and looking back in their base, right?
Yeah.
And Black Arachnia's missile is going towards Optimus, And he like, woo, like last second pulls his head back. And I'm like, why didn't she just shoot the wall where they were standing? Well, whatever. Yeah. Genius plan. Genius plan.
So Optimus transforms and
His face here.
and
I need to
immediately
screenshot this shit.
and immediately super apes. And he flies into the hole, and then he says the line that made me laugh earlier. He's like,
Oh my
taken
God.
unawares. I'm a fool.
Taken unawares.
Taken
And I'm like,
unawares.
what? Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Taken unawares. I'm a fool. A fool, damn it.
And somehow, a fool. What was I thinking standing here and staring at the one of two of the holes on my ship? Yeah, okay.
And yeah, Megatron's all like, at long last, Optimus Primal, we agree on something. Yes.
Oh, there you go. So, yeah, and Megatron's just in there. He's in there.
Yeah.
But
when did that happen?
It just showed the ship. It just showed the ship. And the side that they flew through is like next to a cliff. When did Megatron get in? Not important, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, you write backwards. Yeah, Megatron's in here.
So I gotta be honest, I really like this episode, but you're actually pointing out some
It's what I do, man.
You're pointing out some things that I think I was perhaps blinded to because of the fact that I like this episode.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, yeah. How did Megatron get there?
Yep. But in there he is. Jeez. At last, we agree on something.
Yeah, so
yeah,
he fires a laser from his he fires a mouth laser from his T-Rex.
For listeners, I just sent Christopher a screenshot
of an Optimus face.
An unsolicited Optimus face.
Oh my god.
And it's right when he says what? And he's right before he maximizes. Yeah.
We could just start an Instagram account where we just post like random Optimus faces. And
did you notice that Megatron shoots his dinosaur hand laser upside down?
I did, yeah.
Does he have I just noticed this now, or is that different than how he usually shoots it?
He usually shoots it upright. I think he's done it once before though.
Kind of like when you hold a gun sideways?
Exactly, Terrorsaur style.
Yeah, he's mixing it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like he's done it once before in the show so far, but I can't remember when.
Yeah, Dinobot's in there, Cheetor's in there, they're all in there, and
the gang's all here.
Yeah. And there's Cheetor says some Cheetor quips, and his gun has a full auto mode for the first time.
Yep.
Yeah, so he fires that.
Yeah, he's trying to shoot Screaminator, and
he very fast. He a fast boy.
Yeah, he's zipping around and
wow,
super speed,
very fast. Jesus.
And then for some reason, after he's finished dodging Cheetor's barrage of bullets, he flies out of the base he zips around the room for a little bit and then flies out of the base and then through the hole and then zips around the base several times, the outside of the base several times. And it's like, why?
Outside the battle.
Yeah.
To show off?
I guess.
And it's very fast. Like, it's like cartoonishly fast.
Yeah, it's
like ping-ponging around the screen, basically.
Yeah, he's like moving at Superman speed, basically.
And they're like, whoa, what's up with Bugs for brains? When did he learn these new moves? And he comes in and he tells them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he comes in and is all like, since what? Yeah, because Cheetor was like, oh, when did Bug Brain learn that? And Screaminator comes back and is all like, since his spark was
His
since
his
his
exostructure.
since his exostructure was taken over by the spark of Air Commander Starscream.
And he screams this
Yeah,
loudly.
he screams this. Also, I haven't seen every episode of G1. I'm not going to pretend that I have. I don't remember Starscream ever referring to himself as Air Commander.
Huh. Maybe he gave himself that title.
I remember like the packaging for the toy because back in the early 2000s they re-released the like original G1 Starscream figure in like the old school packaging and everything, and I remember buying it, and on the back on his like stats card it said his role was Air Commander.
Oh. Huh.
But I don't remember Starscream in the cartoon ever calling himself Air Commander.
Maybe he did. Who knows? Let's assume that that was his rank.
Yep, because we'll never know, and there's no way to find out.
No. No, there's if only there was some like network of information available on some sort of electronic device connected to some grid.
You're talking about the supercomputer, aren't you?
I am.
Oh wait, wrong show.
We don't have access to that though.
Uh,
What is this? The supercomputer?
Where's a GameCube when you need one?
Right? Dinobot could have used one.
Because could have played the fuck out of Mario Kart.
Wow. I love this game. Yeah, so Dinobot says, like, what? Starscream? Impossible. And he forgets Megatron is like 5 feet away from him, apparently, because he gets shot in the back.
And Megatron has another great line.
Go ahead.
He's like, we must pay attention, Dinobot. Otherwise, dearly me, look what happens.
He's such like a cheeky, like gentleman this episode.
I know.
Otherwise, dearie me, look what happens.
I know. Like you're pointing out like plot holes galore in this episode, but like the writer of this episode, like his Megatron like dialogue is on point.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Dearie me, look what happens. You get shot in the back like a bitch. Yeah, and there's some shooting back and forth, and for some reason, despite the fact that they don't really seem to be losing, well, I guess Dinobot's down. So
Dinobot's down. The base is getting thrashed.
Yeah, Optimus is like, okay, regroup and recover.
Yeah,
and at the surface shooting into the hole through the hull.
Yep. Yeah, Megatron. Optimus takes off his face mask
to get. Okay, an eye shield instead of a mouth shield. I'll point out later when that happens.
But yeah, I noticed that never been a thing before, and I don't remember it being a thing after this.
No. Or like cover face.
You got
cover.
It, boss.
Yeah.
Boss walks away and he's like, I cover. I got this.
I got this. I cover. Yeah, that's it.
I got this.
I like how Optimus picks up Dinobot, and Dinobot is like huge. Like so freaking huge. It'd be like me picking up like the Rock. if I had another like 60 pounds of muscle. And he wraps his arm like under Dinobot's and attempts it's like, to fly.
It's like you if you were a 600-pound flying gorilla.
If I was an 800-pound gorilla
trying to pick up a 1,600-pound velociraptor.
Yeah, a jacked velociraptor. And it's funny because he boosts out of there. It's the slowest I've ever seen anything move on the entire show. Like, I'm like, how is nobody shooting him? And this is funny. Terrorsaur makes his appearance to block the way. He's like flying like near the hole to block his escape. And Optimus yells maximum burn. He should have yelled maximal burn.
I was gonna comment about that.
And he goes a little faster. Like instead of 5 kilometers an hour, he goes like 10.
But apparently that extra juice is just what he needed in order to fly out of there
this is hilarious.
Punch Terrorsaur right in the face. Literally just like not even quickly or anything, just kind of slowly like flies his fist right into Terrorsaur's face.
It's not even a punch. He has his arm extended, which by the way has a cannon on it with a gun. Right?
Yeah.
Terrorsaur doesn't shoot Optimus. Optimus doesn't shoot Terrorsaur. He just like super apes into Terrorsaur's face. And Terrorsaur's like, ah! And I'm like, what were you thinking? And I'm so confused why nobody shot at each other in that moment.
Why Terrorsaur didn't just like
move
slightly to the left.
He just stands there and gets like slow punched. And that's not even the first time he punches someone. And the camera zooms out to a very destroyed and distraught looking Axelon. Oh, and nice of you to show up, Air Razor. Air Razor for the first time is here on the show. And in her mom voice, as my partner pointed out, and you agree, she says, "Something tells me this isn't just a fire drill. I better go tell Tigatron."
Yep.
And I'm like, no, you're not going to check in with Optimus? Okay. Go tell your boyfriend, I guess.
Yep. And
which doesn't seem to affect or help the episode whatsoever. Weird. So and then you get a GoDaddy and a DoorDash ad.
So we're on the bridge of the Axelon, and we actually have the Predacons gathered around the dinner table.
Yeah, this is weird.
Yeah. How often can you say that?
Apparently once.
Apparently once. Never, damn it. And Megatron is like comically just overjoyed to the point of it. I don't know. I find his pose here hilarious. He just has like both of his arms up in the air.
Oh.
Like, just outstretched, and he's like, "Victory! The maximal base is mine. Yes.
Suck my dick, Optimus." And Tarantulas is here. Don't forget he exists.
Optimus isn't here. Terrorsaur, you do.
But you have to pretend to be Optimus.
You have to let me call you Optimus. Yes.
And after we finish, you have to wipe your mouth and say, "Well, that's just Prime."
Oh, God. Oh.
You may make Employee of the Month for that. and then Scorponok gasps.
He gasps because, like, as we've established, the Employee of the Month wall is just like 30 pictures of him in a row.
Yeah.
30 different pictures
over and over.
The same 30 pictures of him over and over. And he's all like, "Huh? Someone else is gonna go on the wall."
Not on my watch.
Sorry,
Scorponok, but you don't have delectable lips. Seriously, check out Terrorsaur's lips the next time you see his face.
Um,
So sorry, the TLDR is they decide to like conquer and divide and conquer, right?
yes.
Or conquer and divide.
First we conquered, now we divide. Because,
Yeah, because
Tarantulas brings up the point that if they're all there, then their base is unprotected. So Megatron's all like, well, we'll all go back there and we'll leave Black Arachnia, and Scorponok here under the command of Starscream. Cheers.
sounds like a great plan.
And Terrorsaur is all like, Starscream, how come he gets promoted?
And he gets manhandled and choked by Megatron's dinosaur hand.
Yeah, and Megatron basically just tells him to shut up, and yeah.
Yep, that's that. And I think he's got a little. Yeah, he tosses him aside. And Screaminator's like, I'm just grateful I had a chance to help. And who's lounging in the background? Black Arachnia. She's like,
Yeah, I like how she's just like sitting on the computer panel.
with her legs crossed.
Yeah,
lounging.
Yeah, with her legs and her arms crossed.
And Megatron, barely trying to be secret, like kind of like comically whispers just to Scorponok.
And I like how like Screaminator is straight up just staring at them as they're
He's
talking.
3 feet away. He's on the other side of the dinner table. Right? Isn't he?
Yeah. He's like
Maybe
looking
5 feet?
as they're talking to one another, like he's like looking at, like he can hear these motherfuckers. He's observing the conversation.
I'm standing over here.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's like, well, while we are pleased with Starscream so far. And then he kind of glances over at him, like high schoolers like gossiping about someone.
Yeah.
He's like, we will watch him closely. I don't know if he's a good boy yet.
So
we're in the jungle.
Yeah, the Maximals are all like in their beast
hanging
form.
their heads.
Yeah, chilling out at a campsite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what it kind of looks like to me.
Yeah.
There's even like a little there's even like a little log there that's clearly designed for you to be like sitting on. You know, you set up the fire pit like just a little bit in front of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I never noticed Rhinox's ears are like folded forward like a defeated dog.
And
yeah.
Cheetor says the line that I alluded to earlier, where I was like, "Wow, you are a fucking 10-year-old kid." So Cheetor is like walking with his head, like hanging his head down, and he's like, "Man, I bet one of them's in my room right now, going through my stuff."
Dad, I don't want them touching my stuff.
And Rat Trap. This made me laugh out loud earlier. Rat Trap's like, "Don't take this the wrong way there, pussycat, but under the circumstances, go tell someone who cares."
Besides, they're probably rummaging through my porn stash right now. Getting their grubby, sticky mitts on them.
They find his like sex toy collection.
What kind of experimental maximal weapon is this?
I
don't know, boss, but it has 3 speed settings.
Oh man, that. Oh god, that's a fanfic script. I feel like really deserves to be written.
I feel like I would be good at writing that.
So Dinobot is
he's on the ground.
Yeah, he's lying on the ground. And
doesn't he talk about like his time in university? It's like, back before I dropped out of university, I studied military history. Or is that the wrong scene? Where am I?
No, that's yeah, but basically he does his typical thing of like you should have left me behind. You should have let me die,
right.
or whatever. And
You should have fought to the bitter end.
yeah, we
And
shouldn't have
Optimus is
left the
like,
base.
and bitter it would have been.
Yeah.
But like, to what end? Like, stop, Dinobot. What? Like, either you fight, you all survive, and you live to fight another day, or you fight to the bitter end and you lose. Like, I feel like he should be. Remember how we complained about Dinobot's like character kind of regressing?
Yeah.
I feel like by now he should understand the importance of a tactical retreat if it means overall victory.
Which yeah, like a an actual military figure would understand the importance of a tactical retreat. They would know when it's in their best interest to get the fuck out of Dodge and regroup.
And he even talks about reading Sun Tzu's Art of War like a minute after this. He's like, before I dropped out of college. I mean, back when I studied military training history.
Yeah, because because Optimus is like, apparently Waspinator is Starscream, or at least he thinks he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's but not much is known about him because his files were classified by the Maximal Elders.
Yeah, what the fuck? Why?
Yeah, why indeed?
And
it's not like the episode will explain why, but
no. But apparently, Dinobot went to special history.
Yeah, Dinobot went to a Predacon community college. Therefore, he was able to. He was able to take a course on Starscream.
Starscream and why betrayal is. Let me think of this. Starscream, military training 101. Starscream and why. And why the Decepticons were deceived. There we go. Whew. Had to turn on there.
Introductory. Okay.
Introductory military strategy. 101. Starscream and you.
Introductory military strategy and chain of command, and the usurping of the chain of command.
Ooh, there you go.
There we go. Yeah. Introduction to military strategy and the usurping of the chain of command.
Chapter 1: Starscream and why he sucks.
So this is the class that Dinobot took as an elective when he went to Sprott Shaw Predacon College.
Yeah, and when he wasn't playing hacky sack or getting laid, he was barely paying attention to this class. But he does remember that Starscream was apparently deceitful and scheming.
The most notorious traitor of them all, apparently.
Well, I think Terrorsaur has some words to say about that.
Which, I mean, like, given that these are the Decepticons, like, Starscream being the most notorious traitor of all of them, and being deceitful and scheming, like, that's quite an honor.
Right? It's like being the king of thieves.
Okay, so I just got to the Optimus face that I was mentioning earlier. I'm gonna take a screenshot of it because I'm gonna make it the show art.
The one with him fondly looking. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's great. Wow.
Yeah.
Like I said in like episode 1, they made him a gorilla because they could do extraordinary things with his face.
So listeners, what we are talking about right now is what will be the show art.
Yeah, you'll see.
So yeah. check that out.
Or rather, you've already seen. And
In the future
Optimus does a big think.
past.
And it cuts to Tigatron wandering around aimlessly, as he does.
Yeah.
And because he's literally the only like Siberian tiger that's not in the frozen north, in the taiga biome, the Air Razor finds him.
Yeah, Air Razor swoops in, and my partner actually watched this episode with me earlier, and she said, she commented, she was like, "That's not how birds work."
Oh, she hovers like a Harrier jet.
Yeah, and just kind of like slowly flaps her wings and just hovers there.
That is not how birds work. But birds also aren't Maximals, so nor can they talk. So
yeah, she was
funny.
like,
"That's a good catch."
She was like, that is how robot birds work.
Yeah, that's how drones work.
So we're back at the oh yeah, she fills Tigatron in on what's going on.
Not really. That is the shittiest relayed message ever.
Yeah.
She's like, "News update from your spy in the sky." And Tigatron doesn't say anything. I like to think this wasn't Tigatron. It's just a tiger.
Just a random tiger. Oh.
Because he turns his head and she's like, "Half the Preds just left the base. And guess who's in charge?" And then she flies away. No back and forth, nothing. She flies away.
You know, that could be like, I could see that actually being a legitimate concern, depending on how lifelike they are in beast form. Like, them confusing like actual animals with their pals.
Well, as we've seen, Cheetor looks and is the right size, like 1-for-1, looks like the cheetahs on the planet.
Yeah.
Rat Trap does
Except
not.
they freak out when he talks to them.
Well, yeah, because he spoke in English. Their eyes bulged out of their heads. Rat Trap is way, way too big for a rat. But otherwise, most of them. Oh, and the bugs, of course, are obviously gigantic. But
yes,
I assume Optimus is the size of a gorilla.
Thank God. Truly, thank God that there are no spiders that big in the world. Like, hallelujah.
Oh man, different predator hierarchy, for sure. If there were insects and arachnids that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess in the, what was it? Jurassic, Cretaceous period, insects were much, much, much larger because there was more oxygen in the air.
Yeah.
And the way they breathe is kind of like, they just kind of like compress their abdomen or their thorax and then uncompress it, and it forces air in and out. So they don't actually have lungs. Yeah, so they were bigger because there was more oxygen available.
Oh.
Yeah, bugs can't hold their breath, most of them.
Well, blow me down.
Insect and arachnid fact of the day. If you hold a wasp underwater, it will drown very quickly.
You don't say.
I never did such a thing when I was a kid.
Speaking of bugs,
yeah,
we're back at the Maximal base, and Lady Arachnia and Screaminator.
She's chatting them up.
Yeah, they're chatting, and he is basically like, "Listen, lady, I think you're cool and all, but like, it feels like you're not telling me something here."
Yeah.
And she's like, "More like something you're not telling us. You didn't get blasted to scrap metal by Unicron. You got blasted by Galvatron after you betrayed him."
And he loses his shit here?
Yeah, and he's basically
like incel screams at her.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good point actually.
If you listen with the sound on,
Yeah.
he steps forward and screams like really loud, and you're like, "Whoa, dude, calm down!" And
Yeah.
says how Galvatron was a fool and how he deserves to lead.
Yeah,
And
he
she's
was
like, "Whoa, buddy, chill."
Yeah. Basically like, fuck that guy. I told you not to talk about your ex around me.
Yeah, and he's like, "How come you didn't rat me out?" And she's like, "Well, I thought that maybe you could make me a better offer than Mega Dump." And she winks at him, and then like walks away, and he like puts a hand on her shoulder, and he's like, "Ooh, my greedy and like self and only in it for yourself, my kind of girl."
Yeah.
And and then I find this like really funny. And and she's like walking with her hips swaying, and he's like, "I think I found myself a protege." And Scorponok, like third wheel Scorponok, like pokes his head around the corner as if he was like listening the whole time. I mean, he should have. It's a hallway.
Yeah.
Like they must have the worst hearing sometimes. And he's
Okay.
like, "Go ahead."
In this shot, Black Arachnia randomly has one of her like spider eyes that's on the top and back of her head. It's randomly on her right cheek.
What?
Yeah, check it out.
Where are we? It's on her right cheek? Oh.
When she says, "I thought you might make me a better offer." One of her eyes
The
looks
gold. Yeah.
yeah.
See, we were just talking about the different things we notice. You notice the Transformers, the discrepancies in their animations and stuff. I notice the plot holes. Oh, it looks like her cheek is clipping through the black part of her helmet.
Which is funny because I'm the one who studied screenwriting, film, and like film theory and all of that.
Sometimes people have different talents. Mine is shitting all over the plot of something.
Speaking of talents, and noticing the Transformers, Black Arachnia's boobs look particularly nice in this scene.
Do they? Oh, I do they? I don't know.
yeah.
Is it just a personal statement, or you mean they're different? You like it, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
They look particularly pointy.
A quick little anecdote, actually. Today, while I was at work, today being the time that the day that we're recording, when I was at work, I was talking with a couple of my coworkers about the Transformers that I had recently purchased, and we were talking about how great they were and how posable they were and all of that, and we were talking about the upcoming War for Cybertron Kingdom figures, which are going to feature a number of characters from Beast Wars. And one of my coworkers who actually listens to this show every now and then, so shout out to him. He knows who he is.
You know who you are.
He pointed out, he was like, yeah, I've been looking at pictures of all of those, and I gotta say, I think Black Arachnia is probably the best, the best model, because like when she's in beast form, like as a spider, I'm like, ugh, no, get away. And I'm like, and I say very quickly, I'm like, not to mention dem titties. And he just like throws his arms up in the air and like turns around and walks away and exits the conversation. And me and my
that's
other,
what he was gonna say, right?
Me and my other coworker are just like laughing uproariously.
Not to mention them titties.
Not to mention them titties. And then me and
oh yeah, they've got Transformer nipples on the end of them.
And then me and the coworker who actually stuck around ended up talking about Black Arachnia's boobs for about a minute or two.
Huh.
It's good times. Anyway,
Wow, they did do a good job at her. Jesus. So I was looking at like HD, like ultra close up pictures of them.
enhance,
Megatron. Enhance.
enhance.
Enhance. Enhance. Megatron looks like fucking dope as hell too.
Enhance, enhance,
Enhance.
enhance, enhance. Dun 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 dun.
Fish and mailed.
Thank you. Oh man. Yeah, so Lady Arachnia and Screaminator are
They walk off hand in hand.
they're
Down the
going
hall.
steady apparently.
And Scorponok is like, Mr. Starscream, the Maximals are approaching.
Yep.
And it cuts to the outside of the ship. And Rhinox is like hauling like a, what would you call that? Like a stretcher? Like a homemade like wilderness stretcher made out of
There's a name for it. I can't remember what it is though.
a little medical holdy stretcher thing.
Yeah.
And Rhinox is like dragging like an injured Dinobot. They're all in their beast form, the Maximals. And they're approaching the ship peacefully. But also, because reasons, Tigatron is here.
Yep. When did he meet
Is it
up
just
with
a tiger? Apparently off screen right now.
them?
Because Airraiser was like, squawk! Half the base is
So where's Airraiser then?
flying around. Yeah, there's some weird shit going on here.
Yeah, there's okay, so there's continuity issues in this episode. What I'll say.
Yeah. And yep.
Yeah, so Optimus transforms and is all like, "Yo, Starscream, we're here to surrender."
And all the Maximals hang their head in shame. And even like 10-year-old me was like, I think they pretended. And it becomes obvious very soon because Rat Trap and Dinobot bicker.
Yeah, and Rat Trap's like, would you lie down? You're supposed to be half dead. And
Dinobot snaps at him and says,
"If you don't shut up, rodent, you shall become my role model." This episode, like the dialogue in this episode's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I like that Tigatron.
Pretty snappy.
Yeah, it is. And he puts up his little rat fists and he's like, "Why yada?" Yeah. And kind of like when like your mom or dad like gives you just that look, and two kids are like, "Oh shit," and like they know to behave.
Yeah, Tigatron gives them that look and like kind of growls.
He snarls at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they both kind of knock it off. I love that. And here's the funny thing is I like to think that that's actually not Tigatron. It's still just a tiger that's there.
Yeah, he still hasn't said anything.
No. So who's to say it's even Tigatron?
It's just this random tiger who's decided to hang out with them and follow them around.
Yeah, well, a bird, like caught at him and he decided to meet up. And Rat Trap, he kind of complains and he's like, if it ain't the dinosaurs up your nose, it's the felines.
Yep.
And who come down the one and only infamous elevator,
legendary,
the platform? Legendary. It's the platform at the Maximal base. And there's 3 Predacons on it. I feel like that was a stupid move, but because they're all there.
Yeah.
Now, here's another thing that I pointed out while I was watching it a second time with my partner. How many Maximals are right there? 5, 6.
Yeah, about
Air
yeah,
Razor's out of sight, right?
yeah.
There's 3 Predacons right there, and they all left the ship. They could just all maximize right now and take them out.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah.
huh.
Oh well. We'll just go with it.
Yeah, but they're Optimus is doing his best acting voice, and he's like, "We don't have a choice. Dinobot's taken heavy damage," he says out loud. And Screaminator's like, "You need access to the CR chamber."
So Optimus is much better at doing Shakespeare in the Park than Dino Clone was a few episodes ago.
Yeah. Yeah, which is weird because that clone was made to be particularly deceptive, but it was a
Yeah.
recreation of Dinobot's personality, which means Dinobot is a terrible actor. Or at least Dino Clone is.
He'll get his big break someday.
No, he's dead. He was literally eaten alive. Probably screaming, begging for mercy.
Oh god.
Weird. Being eaten by somebody who looks like you. I think I've had a nightmare about that.
That's dark.
There's some nightmare fuel for you.
Oh yes.
So they negotiate, and what they decide to do is they decide to take Optimus and just Dinobot on
Yeah,
board.
because Screaminator is all like, "What's in this for me?"
Yeah, they come to a quid pro quo.
And Optimus is like, "We'll do whatever you want," which is pretty nebulous, but
get over here and suck my dick.
Exactly.
In front of everyone, right here and now. Well, I think Optimus would have been like, Maximals!
and Rat Trap doesn't transform, and he's just like, "Hey, pal, a deal's a deal.
A deal's a deal." Besides, I kind of want to see this.
Now put up or shut up, you big ape."
You big ape. Screaminator turns to Lady Arachne, and she's as if he's like teaching his protege. He's like, "Lesson 1: always show compassion. Always show compassion if it's useful. Cover for your true motives."
Yeah.
But Scorponok is beside him. Whatever.
Well, he knows they've gone steady, so
yeah,
he saw it go down.
Yeah, I saw they were holding hands, Megatron. And go ahead.
Inside the Maximal base, we see a CR chamber and Dinobot's in it, and he's moving around like
it's bad acting.
Yeah, it's a weird animation, like just the way he's like moving, or I don't know. I'm
is.
like you'd think he would just be like lying there or something, but
he's acting tired and injured, but like acting badly.
But yeah, he's like kind of weirdly like swaying around, and yeah.
Woe is me, for I am injured.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
so let's TLDR this little scene here.
So the CR
Screaminator, the CR chamber closes.
Yeah, and Screaminator is basically like, "Well, you were a fucking idiot for trusting me, so yeah, Scorpion, disarm him and lock him up. Word per word.
Chain him up in the hold."
Yeah, what he says is, what does he say? Disarm him, force him to transform, and then chain him in the hold or somewhere.
Oh yeah, or somewhere.
Which made me laugh earlier. In the hold or somewhere.
And Optimus like narrows his eyes. We find out that or somewhere is apparently in the hallway. I got him good, boss. So the
then we kind of
three Preds are like up where Sentinel's guns are.
yeah.
On top of the ship, like within gunshot range, they're still outnumbered.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck do I know? And he's like, "We have the Raptor and your boss." Yeah, see? They'll be destroyed unless you listen to us, see?
he announces he begins his speech by saying, "Attention, fools."
Uh-huh. And then Tigatron does talk, so it's not just a random tiger.
Well,
he
maybe
says,
the random tiger left when Tigatron showed up.
Oh, that's true. And he was like, "Wait, there's two Tigatrons?" And one just kind of like roars and runs away.
Yeah.
Tigatron's like, "Who is that guy?" And yeah, Tigatron's like, "We had a deal." And Screaminator's like, "Huh, if you want to save your comrades,
now we have another one." Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna listen to me, Shay. You'll attack the Predacon base, Shay. Yeah, real good.
Attack the Pred base? What is this?
The crossover episode?
And Scorpion's like, "It's called treachery." And opens up one of
his claw missile at him.
And then, speaking of missiles, Black Arachnia shoots him with one of her arrows.
Yeah, and he crossed countries.
I was just going to say, and I even said this when I was watching the episode with my partner. I'm like, oh, Scorponok just got cross-country missiled.
But with one of the arachnid like hook weapons.
Yeah.
And you actually can tell that he kind of soars off in the distance because the camera cuts to Rat Trap and he like comically, his eyes like follow the trajectory of Scorponok. Oh, and then he hits the ground. Okay, not quite cross country. He just goes for a ride.
It's the cross country missile is more of a
feeling.
It's more of an idea than an actual an actual.
It's more than a feeling.
When I hear those old songs.
When I hear that old missile, take me away. Rat Trap, for some reason, like wags his finger like a disapproving mother. And he's like, you're nothing but a scheming snake in the grass, yeah.
Yeah, strong words there, Rat Trap. Strong words.
Flattery will get you flattened, Shay. You'll do what I say, Shay.
How dare you?
Now, here's the thing. Now it's 4 versus 2.
Uh-oh.
Right? They just took out one of their own? Like, I feel like they could take them right now.
But they don't.
But they don't. They follow through with the plan.
Yeah, so we're in the hallway, and Optimus is...
I love this scene. He's, like, bolted. Like, giant metal clasps are, like, screwed? Literally screwed into the wall.
Yeah.
Right?
And he's all, like, betrayed.
There's one surrounding his... There's one surrounding his torso, and, like, one on each arm.
He's all like betrayed, shackled, and chained. In other words, so far, so good. And then he just like
This is great. He just grunts a little and flexes, and almost with like minimal effort, rips the fucking giant like iron like clasps off, and he flexes his chest. Doesn't even use his hands. He just flexes his chest 3 times and busts out of his like abdomen restraints. This is like the easiest I've ever seen anyone break out of anything. And I'm like, did you guys forget he's an 800-pound gorilla?
Yeah.
You guys forget they can like rip trees out with out of the ground by the roots with one arm?
Yeah.
Apparently they forgot that Optimus was a gorilla. Like literally it's shown that he's stronger than Megatron.
Yeah.
Despite the size difference. And yet okay. I can't believe how easily he just fucking broke out of that. And where is he? Next to the the weapons stash that they conveniently placed underneath the floorboards earlier in the episode.
Yeah, underneath the armored flooring.
And I
Coming
was
full
humorous.
circle.
Yeah, I was like, man, wouldn't it be great if he just grabbed like Cheetor's gun?
I thought that exact same thing earlier.
Because when he looks down, the first thing you see is Cheetor's gun.
Yeah.
Apparently, he reattaches his like forearm shotgun blasters, which is cool. But I think it would be funnier if he had to like improvise with Cheetor's gun, or like grab one of Rhinox's gats.
Or both.
That would have been cool. Or both.
He just dual wields them.
Yeah, one for long range, one for up close.
Yeah. That'd be sweet.
And the Maximals are now attacking the Predacon base, the original, the OG Predacon base.
Yeah, the dark side.
And it zooms out and shows that as they're attacking, it's actually a monitor with Black Arachnia and Starscream watching it. And I'm like, what are they watching? Like, what is this image being filmed, like, cast on?
Yeah, because I mean, they blew away the guy who had cyber bees that
right?
would allow them to do this.
So what are they watching? This cinematic cam, and it's like slowly panning like a drone. I'm like, how are they watching this? Whatever.
Well, we'll never know.
There's an awkward moment where they're staring into each other's eyes, and I'm like, now kiss. Lesson 2. They're always more gullible than you'd hope. And I'm like, are they?
These are very specific lessons.
Yeah.
Like, these are lessons specific to a very small set of circumstances.
I have a feeling. Wait a second, Starscream. Are you making these lessons up as you go?
Yeah.
Wait a nano click. And Optimus is like, Optimus slams down on the dinner table. And he's like, lesson 3, disregard lessons 1 and 2. And he pumps his shotgun. And I'm like, yeah, as much as there are plot holes in it, the dialogue is well written.
Yeah.
He blows up Rat Trap's chair. And I like how they're like, he's no match for the both of us. And literally 10 seconds later, they're like, retreat! We're no match for him.
Oh, you know what I just noticed is that the Predacon symbol that's normally on on either side of Waspinator's head, like on the back of his head, it's a Decepticon symbol now. Yeah, I just noticed
that earlier, but I forgot to comment on it. Yeah,
it's cool.
Oh, straight up, yeah.
It's a neat little detail.
Yeah, because his symbols are usually on the side of his head.
Yeah.
Cool. And it shows a lot of close-ups of his head to give the viewer that. Oh, yeah. Glad we mentioned that. And like the great ape that he is, he hangs off of the chandelier. Kind of like swings around like as he's shooting them, dodging shots. And he's like, how about we make this a double date? And this is so weird. He shoots the CR chamber like near the door and the floor, and it doesn't damage it whatsoever, but it conveniently opens up the door. And Dinobot transforms and jumps out.
Yeah.
Very impressive, Optimus Primal. But I still have my wits and my superior speed, and he just fucks off.
Yeah. And Black Arachnia is like, wait, what?
Seriously, Dick?
And she shoots her like little grapple gun thing and zips away, and then
well, you're not getting your dick sucked anymore. Yeah, she Batman's away, literally. Forgot about that. She grapple hooks away.
And then Optimus like super apes in pursuit, and then
this is the part where
Dinobot just like kind of looks off.
He goes, I'm like, what is he thinking of? And for some reason, we've already mentioned it once. We might as well mention it again. We get like a Metal Gear Solid like prone like crawl across like no man's land
Yeah.
in front of the dark side. For some, I don't understand parts of this episode. So it's just Rat Trap and Cheetor, no one else, like crawling on their belly, like inching closer and closer to the Predacon base. I don't know why they're doing this, because there are no Predacons and defending the base, and nothing's firing at them. And then
They get spotted by
giant
security
spotlights.
cameras.
Yeah, giant motion activated like spotlights like turn on.
Yeah.
This is so weird and awkward. And they gasp and they like look at each other and their mouths hang open and they don't move. And finally, remember like a million episodes ago when they were like, these automated guns can detect and fire upon maximal energy signatures.
Yep.
And we're like, oh, can't wait to see those.
Yeah.
And we didn't. Well, there's like 6 of them on the ship now. 7, 8, a bunch.
Well, it only took 3 months, but finally we're here.
Yeah. Also, they had one out in the wild before, not attached to the ship. So presumably they could set these up anywhere, and it would randomly fire on the Maximals. I guess it would need a power source. Anyways, they kind of do nothing for a while, and they both shout because they're the youngest of the group. They're like, "Uncle Rhinox, help!" And then it cuts to Uncle Rhinox, like screaming, shooting both of his cats.
Yeah, as Rat Trap and Cheetor flee for their lives.
Very comically, like, flee from their lives.
And Rhinox is like, "This is suicide. We gotta pull back."
And then Air Razor's
almost
there.
out of beer.
Air Razor's there for she wasn't there before.
Yeah.
And she was shooting her wrist like launchers at it, and they all run away and hide behind rocks, which is a theme on the show.
Yep.
And Starscream randomly shows up, and he's like, "What are you? Yeah, what are you doing? She? I ordered you attack the Predacon. She?" But Optimus is also here, even though I thought Starscream was much faster. But what the fuck do I know?
Yeah. Yeah, he's been gloating about his speed, his superior speed.
It showed him
all
ping-ponging around like very fast.
Yeah.
But Optimus was seconds behind him.
Well, I guess
to get back to the base. Give me a break.
I guess Optimus just screamed maximal burn, and you know.
Yeah, I guess.
Here we are.
I have to tell you, Starscream, you're giving space debris a very bad name. And Starscream's like, can you fuck off, Prime?
Yeah. And then Rhinox is all like, I'd say it's trampoline time. And I'm like, not clobbering time?
Well, he's a rhino. And rhinos trample.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he turns to Cheetor and he's like, I'm just trying it out. You know how... And Rat Trap like kind of shrugs and he's like, I'm just trying it out. Trampoline time, get it? Because I'm a Rhinox. I'm a rhino. I'm a Rhinox. Rhinos trample, don't they? And he like looks around and he's like, whoa, hey. Audience, jeez. Yeah, I'd say that.
Man, tough room we got around here.
Yeah. They're trying it out.
Man, I was I was singing song Wonderwall by Oasis back there, and a friend asked me if I would stop, and I said maybe.
And I said maybe. Oh, he smiles really funny and like holds his gat up. And Optimus is like, no, leave him to me. And he flies off. And all of a sudden, Starscream is like not doing the one thing that his strength is. It showed him before dodging shots easily and flying around. He's stationary, hovering in the air, just shooting at Optimus, and
And
Optimus
is a fucking terrible shot, apparently.
like probably worse than Waspinator.
Yes.
Because Waspinator has hit Optimus multiple times on the show. So Optimus is casually like dodging as he's flying towards Starscream. Again, Starscream's just standing still. I don't understand what's going on. And this is so great. And Optimus, like,
Another flying fist.
why I oughta, but he winds his fist up like a Popeye fucking cartoon. Like if you cut to 18 like 05,
Oh, yeah.
he's like winding his fist up. And he just punches Starscream right in the head. I can get behind Optimus just punching people. I really like that. Like he has guns.
Yeah.
But presumably guns aren't in this case. Like he absolutely. Okay, what is this damn weird like stylus that appeared right in front of the monitor inside the dark side?
I was wondering that earlier too.
Yeah, I've seen it multiple times now, and what it seems to be doing here is just putting a target on Waspinator.
Yeah.
I don't really get what it's there for.
Maybe it's linked to their newfangled auto-targeting weapon system. I don't know.
Yeah. What we're talking about, listeners, is there's this metallic device that like hovers over the monitors in the dark side. And it zooms out and it shows that Starscream's just been defeated by Optimus, and his head kind of like is smushed in against a rock. And presumably one of the security cameras, Megatron is watching this on like a camera. And yeah, he says, what does he say? I'll have both their treacherous hides. Referring to...
Yeah, he's all like, Starscream and Black Arachnia.
Yeah.
As if like he's just found out that they're dating and he's all pissed about it.
Nobody, no inter-employee dating on my watch.
Yes.
No. I'll melt them down and use them for aluminum siding. And I'm like, that's an off.
Oh, yes, indeed.
And I'm like, that's awfully specific. Like specifically aluminum siding?
Yeah. I mean,
not like weapon parts or...
I mean, aluminum siding was pretty big in the 90s.
Was it?
So, oh yeah.
For what? Vehicles? TVs? What are we talking about?
For houses. Yeah.
Oh, was that a thing?
Yeah, it was a thing.
Oh. What, like easier to maintain or clean or
yeah,
water beat it off of it or something?
Yeah, and it was cheap.
Okay, so he's saying that they're cheap and he's going to turn them into siding for the ship.
Presumably for the base, yeah.
Okay.
And
we go back to the fight in real time. And rejoined Optimus pointing his hand cannon at... I kind of just wanted him to like front mount like Waspinator and just start MMA pounding on his face. Just punching him apart. But a man can dream.
Yeah.
And they have a Mexican standoff. They both point their weapons at each other.
Yeah, and Screaminator like kind of half-heartedly tries to like reason with Optimus.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, see, we're friends, right, buddy?
Then,
I can cut you in on the deal."
And then he notices Black Arachnia.
What an idiot! Yeah, off in the distance,
like standing awkwardly on top of a rock.
Like, yeah, it is awkward.
And
like, she's not on top of the rock. She's on the very tip of the dark side.
So what the fuck is she doing up there?
Yeah, if you cut to the 1850 mark, she's on the because part of the ship juts out into the sky. She's on the ship. I don't know what she's doing up there, but she's very awkwardly like squatting.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Now, Black Arachnia, We can rule together. And she's like, are all your dreams in Technicolor? Get it?
Which,
Because he's old?
yeah,
Eh?
yeah, I
Which
get
was
it.
like a color format, like back in the, Jesus, what,
The
70s?
60s,
60s?
60s and
Yeah.
70s. Yeah,
The first
it
time I
was.
watched that, I was like, what? I don't get it. And then I was like, oh, right. Now in Technicolor. I remember Batman.
Yeah,
They used
yeah.
to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty common for shows that were actually shot in color. They would say, like, usually, like, right on the intro, like on the title card for the show, they would say, like, it would say, like,
Now in Technicolor or Technicolor, and the
yeah,
letters would have different colors.
yeah, and it would say the title of the show, like Dragnet or something like that, and it would be like in glorious Technicolor. Yeah, like you said, like each letter of the word Technicolor would be a different color.
Uh-huh.
They ended up dropping that by like the mid 70s.
Yeah. So he's old.
Yeah,
And for some reason, he's not afraid of two guns being pointed at him.
I gotta say that is not a joke that 11-year-olds would get.
Oh, I didn't get it. All I knew, well, part of me did and part of me didn't. Like one show I watched when I was young was the original run of Adam West as Batman.
That show is glorious.
So I knew, yeah. So I knew that like Technicolor was like an old timey like TV kind of thing, like a new
Yeah.
type of like color when most TV was in black and white, presumably.
Yeah, I knew that too. But I knew of Technicolor when I was a kid because like I watched a lot of MASH, and the early episodes of MASH would say that at the end in the credits. But I didn't get the joke that Black Arachnia was making.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of jokes that 10-year-old me probably didn't get from the show.
Yeah.
But now that I'm rewatching it, I'm like, oh, I get it. Haha, he old. Yeah, and Screaminator, apparently having two guns pointed at him isn't enough. He looks behind him, and there's some energon crystals jutting out of the rock behind him.
Yeah.
And he kind of yells like, Energon! Ah! And I think he begins to go into stasis lock, like the
Well, he starts
shorting out, yeah. Meaning that stasis lock is in like a minute or so. Yeah. And he screams, "You betrayed me!" to Black Arachnia. And she's like, I studied with the master. And I'm like, is he? Is he the master? I feel like juiced up Terrorsaur had a better run. But whatever.
I mean, Starscream did take over the Maximal Base briefly. Which is
for a hot minute.
Yeah, but it's more than anyone else on the show can say.
True, he's ambitious.
Yeah.
And he is technically smarter than Terrorsaur.
Technicolorly.
The best kind of technical. She shoots. She shoots a missile thing.
Yeah, and we get a slow motion shot of it like flying in the air, and like back and forth like intercuts of the missile and Screaminator's like face,
and
in absolute terror.
And it rapidly cuts between like Optimus and Starscream, and then the writing for the dialogue in this, Optimus is like, "Hasta la vista, Starscream."
Which, if you ever needed any evidence that this is a show from the mid 90s, like that line like just seals it right there.
Yeah, and then he activates his eye shields, which he's never had before, not his mouth shield, and flies away. This is the part we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, he's like, "Hasta la vista, Starscream," and then literally fucking puts on shades.
Oh, that's what. Okay, it's not a mistake. It's shades.
I paused
just got
here.
that.
They are literally fucking sunglasses. Holy shit! Oh my god!
Okay, I just caught that. Before I thought it was like remember we were making fun of the intern?
Yeah.
No,
No,
they're
I remember.
shades.
Yeah,
Because it's not just like where his eyes are. They cover the whole area that blocks his eye, like above his like face shield thing.
yeah.
Yeah, they're
Oh my,
shades.
oh my god. Yeah, Optimus is like hasta la
So he
vista,
puts on
Starscream. He puts on fucking shades.
Oh, you're right. They're semi-transparent and they don't cover the whole area. They're actually shades.
Yeah, they are. They're sunglasses.
He puts on sunglasses and pieces out. Okay, that's
Oh, that's hilarious.
something you can't catch when you're watching it live on cable, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's sunglasses. Okay, people listening, sunglasses actually come down out of Optimus's helmet, and he like prime jets away.
Yeah.
Okay, I that's great.
This is amazing. This episode, for all its plot holes and continuity problems, this episode's amazing.
The the dialogue really sets it apart.
Yeah. So
And then,
yes,
guess who's blown
Screaminator.
up?
Yeah, Screaminator blows up.
A lot, presumably because there was a energon deposit in the rock that Black Arachnia shot. And it shows them all putting Humpty Dumpty back together again.
And Waspinator says
In his real voice.
In his real voice, because apparently Starscream is gone.
Yeah.
Waspinator says my favorite line of his in the entire
this.
series. And anytime I do just a random Waspinator impression, this is the line I always say. He says, "Oh, Waspinator has a headache in his whole body."
That's when my partner was like, "Aw, he's so cute." Waspinator has a headache in his whole body.
Yeah, it's literally like straight up my favorite Waspinator quote in this entire series.
When I was a kid, I was like, "Ha ha ha!" But like adult me understands that.
Oh yes,
on a fundamental level. And you'd think it would require like robotics and like welding torch and like circuitry repair. Nope. Megatron just like slams his head back into his torso.
like he's Lego or something.
Yeah.
And Lady Arachnia is all like, "Oh, it was the only way. I had to play along with Starscream to figure out his true intentions." And she like clicks her paws together as she says that.
And I like how savvy, like Megatron isn't dumb this episode, which I like. And he's like, "You're smooth, Lady Arachnia. Very smooth." As he's like presumably screwing like Waspinator's head back on off screen.
Yeah.
And he turns to her and he's like, "It does not inspire confidence. No." And he like grimaces. So he's like, "Yeah, okay, I'm gonna buy that line. I'm not gonna turn you into aluminum like siding. But I mean, don't fuck with me."
Yeah.
Yeah. And who's back at the Axelon repairing their favorite chair? Rat Trap for like the 7th time in this season is like screwing his chair back in place.
And he says the line, he's like, "Yeah, neighbors, you invite them over and look what happens."
They touch your shit. They mess with your chair. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Home sweet home.
They hang out in your room and go through your stuff and
Hey, my sex toys are all missing.
I mean my my servo tools. Yeah.
Yeah, my servo tools. And then it cuts to Scorponok in his lab, and he's like, "I can't figure these darn-founded things out." And then you just hear a vibration sound.
As the camera does that like little
Comical, like swipe out inwards.
yeah, I can't remember. It's a type of fade.
Screen wipe.
It's a type of transition. I can't remember what
Yeah.
it's called, but it's like where blackness basically like in a circular motion like engulfs the screen.
Yeah, like a circle wipe.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what they're called, but yeah, like the Looney Tunes like circle wipe that they've done multiple times on the show.
Yeah. And it does that with like comical music playing. Do 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 do.
As it shows Scorponok scratching his head.
Yeah.
Well, the actual ending to the episode.
This is the episode that you need to get writing, good sir.
Oh well, I have I have a different cut than you do.
Yeah.
I must be watching a different. Will we ever let that go? No.
No. Yeah, so what actually happens is Cheetor says some Cheetor bullshit and he looks up at the sky. It says, "Twinkle, twinkle, little Starscream." And we cut to space, and the spark of Starscream is
screaming through space.
And he's like, even if it takes 1,000 years, I'll be revenged on you all.
Oh yeah. I'll get my revenge. No, it literally says I'll be revenged on you all.
I'll be revenged on you all. Yeah, I'm like, that's a weird way of phrasing that, but all right.
I feel like vengeance will be mine would have been a better line, but what you gonna do?
I'll get my revengeance.
All right, speaking of revengeance, we have a brand new rating system.
Oh, yes. We are at the end of the episode now. Episode done. Dun, 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 dun.
Hooray!
Yeah, so we, going forward, we have decided we are going to rate the episodes on a 3-point scale. Every episode going forward. We are going to rate it on the Too Much Energon scale, which is...
starting from the first one.
Starting from not enough Energon, which means basically anything from episode's not that great to it just outright sucks, to sufficient Energon, which is anything from it's okay to decent, pretty good.
Filler, yeah.
Yeah. Not great, but also not bad. To too much Energon, which is anything from, oh, this was a great episode, to, oh man, this was the best episode ever. And for very certain special circumstances, should we ever encounter such an episode, there is the special no Energon.
Absolutely no
rating.
Energon.
Absolutely no Energon, which is literally the worst episode ever. There's an episode coming up that I suspect I will rate as such. So stay tuned for that. So on the Too Much Energon scale, Cal, what do you give Possession?
It's a Too Much Energon.
Nice.
For me. The dialogue sells it. At this point, like, this episode more than others, I pointed at, what was it, like 3 or 4 like plot holes.
Yeah.
But like, what do you want from me? like it's so regular on the show, but I don't feel like any of the plot holes on this. And usually I don't like Deus Ex Machina. Like the whole, hey everyone, let's store our weapons under the floor for some reason. Right? Like, I have problems with that. But
see,
go ahead.
It would have been a Deus Ex Machina if they hadn't set it up early in the episode. So if it had just come out of nowhere, like, oh, if Optimus had just been like, when he broke free, oh, it's a good thing we stored these weapons under here.
That's correct. Yeah. Technically, there was, as weak as it was, there was a reason they were under the floor.
Yeah.
So that's true. That doesn't make it Deus Ex Machina. Yeah. But apart from the little like holes, they weren't like game breaking.
Yeah,
Like they
I
weren't
agree.
like, oh, this is dumb. There were times when they vastly outnumbered the Predacons, and I was like, well, you could just shoot them. You can do that. But like the dialogue, the fact that Optimus just like did that Superman punch, and then later like the Popeye punch, like he's just punching people. That really put it up there for me. And the shades, like, and the Hasta La Vista Starscream,
And the
and all the
shade coming
lines for.
down.
I
Oh
didn't even
man.
understand that those were shades until we just watched it live,
Yeah, I
like
didn't
right
either.
now. And the lines from Megatron, it's too much Energon for me.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a very enthusiastic too much energon. This is one of my favorite episodes of the season so far. Has some plot holes, as we've discussed, and some continuity issues, like, Megatron just suddenly being in the maximal base without any explanation during the battle.
By the way, I can't fly, but I'm here too.
But yeah, the dialogue in this episode, I think, is probably
One of the
probably
strongest.
probably some of, if not the best dialogue in the series thus far. It's really snappy.
Feels more, yeah.
Every
Every
like
line hits.
yeah, everyone in this, just about everyone in this episode who has lines, all deliver some winners.
Including Tigatron just growling at the children.
Including that random tiger that they thought was Tigatron.
Yeah. And Air Razor's one line that made no sense.
Yeah. And I really like the connections to Transformers Generation 1, the original Transformers series. They've briefly alluded to some things from G1 prior to this, but this firmly establishes Beast Wars within the canon of the original Transformers cartoon, which I dig.
And they kept his design. Do you know what I mean? Like they kept it very simplistic looking.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of jarring now because watching it on the show, like when I was a kid, I kind of vaguely remember this being like, oh, Starscream is like 20 polygons. Right? Like he's very simplistic.
Yeah.
But now as an adult, I'm like, oh, they could have made him different looking and more complex. Like, I mean, look how complex the Maximals and Predacons were compared to the 3D Starscream. Right? He's like 3 colors. He's gray, blue, and red.
But then if you go back and watch the original Transformers cartoon, like,
That's what they are.
yeah, they were pretty simplistic looking.
They were blocky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of like that as an adult, that he was just this. They had his original like design.
Yeah. Damn good episode. Big fan.
It is.
It was an episode that I loved as a kid, and I'm happy to report I am still a big fan. In fact, I think I actually like it more now.
Oh. Yeah, I do. I do. Like I had vaguely remembered this episode as a kid. I thought I didn't watch it, but as I was rewatching it, I was like, oh, I kind of remember that. Oh, I kind of remember Starscream, yeah. But I appreciate it more now.
So that has been the 19th episode in production order, Possession. Best way to support the show, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, be sure to give us a 5-star rating. Helps us out with discoverability. Be sure to check out our website, www.toomuchenergon.ca, where you can find embedded players of every episode of this show thus far, and social media links, and yada yada yada. And also
possible fan fiction of Dinobot
may still to come. And
hey, if you make fan art of the show or of Christopher Siege and NeoCal, Christopher may put it up on the website.
Oh, I undoubtedly will. Or on the Facebook page, facebook.com/toomuchenergon. And yeah, if you like this show, tell your friends. Get them listening.
Tell them over holiday break. Here.
Yes.
And on that, now that we're at the delirious stage,
yeah.
it is time for us to sign off.
Yeah, we are way out of time now, so I have been one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
I am your other host, NeoCal.
And until next week, Beast Mode.
Beast Mode.
Beast mode!